Hello world of the internet, my name is Simon Miller and welcome to another one of my little vlogs. I really appreciate it. We are getting towards the end of the year, and given that these all did start in January, I just want to give one last, shout out for lack of a better word, to everyone that's watched them and said nice things. I've even bumped into a few people in real life who have said, Simon, I watch your vlogs, and some of the stuff you said really helped me. That touches me beyond words. It's humbling, it's inspirational, it's motivational. When I started doing it, as I said, you can go back and watch episode 1 now. I wanted to do it, but I was a bit, tying into everything, I was a bit worried about how they'd be perceived or what people would think about it, because obviously I know YouTube is a crazy place and sometimes people question why people are doing things, but I just wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about mental health, life, depression, anxiety, and other topics and tie it all into one big bow, and I was like, look, I'll do it for me, and if people like it, great, and if they don't like it, okay, they don't like it. I just shrug my shoulders and I'll carry on regardless. But so thank you to everyone that has supported all of these. You would have seen the title for this one. It's nice and simple. It's weird, right? I'll explain to you. I should have called it something else, but I thought about this one and it made me laugh. It kind of does tie into YouTube comments and social media a little bit, and obviously the whole anonymous person behind the keyboard wanting to write whatever they fancy. And I'll be completely honest with you, it doesn't bother me anymore. It absolutely used to when I first started to do the YouTube stuff, which was a good while ago now. But I think it's like anything, you build up a thick skin to this, or you realise it's not for me, and you walk away. And I think both options are fair. But yeah, it just doesn't anymore. I think so much ridiculousness has been thrown at me. After a while, you do go through this process. You're like, you know what? I just don't care. Say whatever you want. I kind of embrace it. And if you're on my YouTube channel now, we only done a couple, but I'd like to do more. And I take some of the comments. I just take the mick out of them because some of the things. I think the way it works is like this. Either they're so audacious you can't take them seriously, or maybe they've got a tiny bit of truth to them, and that's what gets you in the stomach, but then they're delivered with so much aggression and craziness, you're like, I don't care. But yeah, definitely back in the day, I would say if someone said to me, Simon, what's the worst kind of, we'll call it, comment crisis you've gone through, it was when, the shift to what culture happened. I don't know why the fallout was as what it was. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go out there, research. It's all out there. We don't need to get into that. But yeah, just people came at me on Twitter saying all kinds of crazy stuff. And the one that really got me is somebody, they wished death on my family. And it went both ways. On the one hand, I was like, okay, what is going on? What even is 2018? But on the other, it was so dumb. I was like, you know what? I'd already got to a point where I didn't really care about them that much anyway. But that was it for me. I kind of drew a line in the sand. I was like, I'm not going to let this get to me. There's no point. Anyway, transitioning on to what I wanted to talk about. 4 simple words. Don't be a dick on the internet. It's crazy because it happens all the time. And it's probably happening worse now in 2018 than ever. And I don't get it, and I don't understand it, because be it in real life or in digital world or whatever, I don't think you should ever be mean to anybody. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't have confrontation when it's needed. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't have constructive criticism when it's needed. There are obviously ways and means to do anything, but I've tried, and I'm not saying I'm right, just my opinion. The guy that would mention that, get on a t-shirt. But the way I've always lived my life is, I'm, it's the most old school cliche in the world. I'm going to treat people how I want to be treated. I don't want to be yelled at. I don't want people to be rude. I don't want people to insult me. So I try and pass on that respect to other people. And then it's up to them to do with that however they want. They want to give it back to me, great. If not, I'll make sure I take that information on and move forward with it. But I do find it crazy that people feel, because they have a platform and because they have, this system where they can now get their voice out there, which is great in many ways. Again, the mental health discussion that, what these all were based on, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those kinds of stuff, and YouTube, have helped make that more normal. I mean, we're still not there. We've still got a long way to go, but there are more people talking about it. And it's a great way for famous people that have, that people look up to throw these things out there and get their message out quickly. And if that does happen to tie into, hey, I feel like this, I feel bad, it is going to give strength to other people. That's just how celebrity culture works, whether you like it or not. If you're into football and you see a football player like Danny Rose, always massively respect him for what he did, come out and say, look, when I was struggling with my injury, I did suffer from some depression. If you are that too and you're a big Tottenham fan, you'd be like, oh wow, this has given me some hope that I'll get better too. Loads of examples of that. I'm not just singling him out, but it's always the one that comes to my mind, because I remember at the time I was surprised. It wasn't something you heard very much, and I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a good step. So I'm certainly not crapping all over social media or anything like that. I think it has loads of positives, but obviously and the YouTube comment section we should throw in there as well. Sometimes it makes me laugh. It does. And while it makes me laugh, which is all well and good, I can get a kick out of it. And again, do a bunch of videos where I read them out and we all have a chuckle together. That's not one and the same for everybody. And one of the real reasons that made me do this is I saw an article on the BBC that apparently a lot of the hate, what's the word they're saying? A hate message, a hate crime, whatever they call it, comes from young people. And the only thing I could think was, I don't like just saying, oh, they don't know what they're saying. Well, they probably should know what they're saying, and they should be educated. There should be people in their lives teaching them that kind of stuff. But it could be a percentage thing, right? You'd have to imagine that younger people or a younger demographic use things like Twitter and so on more than older people, just because it's a generational thing. There are things that are coming out now that I'm not going to understand because they belong to a different generation. That is the circle of life. That's what the Lion King was singing about, or Elton John. Lion King didn't sing his own songs. The Lion King was Simba. He absolutely did not sing the soundtrack to The Lion King, in case you were wondered. That film comes out next year. Another reason to look forward to 2019. But I get that. My point is, I'm struggling to talk about this one because I don't want it to sound like the wrong way. Because there is no excuse, as far as I'm concerned. There is no excuse. You should know it should be built into you, and if it's not, well, then we have to figure out why. That you shouldn't be a massive asshole ever. But I'm guessing because people have grown up with the likes of a YouTube comment box or Twitter or Facebook, where you can just write whatever you want. And yeah, sure, sometimes the sort of Damocles does fall on you, but most of the time it's got to be up there, like 95% of the time. It just goes out there and nothing happens to it. After a while, you probably just think that's the way the world is, and that there are no consequences. But there are consequences because the people that you're saying the words to, if they're not of the ilk where they can just brush it off or water off a duck's back, you could absolutely change their life, and it could, maybe it's to the better. Maybe it does. Maybe it allows them to grow a thick skin like it did me. But maybe it goes the other way, and it drags people down. And I think that's my point. While I'm sure there is a nastiness to these people, I don't ever think their thought process goes beyond their reaction. And that's kind of what it is. It's like so many times in YouTube videos, I'll make a point, and then later on I'm going to make the counterpoint, but already in the comments someone's gone, well, you should have talked about this. I'm like, dude, you haven't even watched the whole video. I get to that point because it's a reactionary thing. Sometimes you get it on Twitter. In fact, you get it a lot. You'll write something and someone goes, oh, F this, F that. And every now and then if I'm in the mood, I'll go back to them. I say, okay, I'll be very calm and very, as diplomatic as I can be. And 9 times out of 10, what you get back is, oh yeah, sorry, mate, didn't mean to get so mad. It's the internet back down. I dubbed that years ago. Because people don't expect to get a response. They're just reacting to whatever they're seeing, just throwing their emotions out there, and then, whatever they get is whatever they get. Again, that's not an excuse, because they're still saying it, and you shouldn't say it. And another reason all this kind of tied in is because the world of football, as we've talked about here on these vlogs, seems to be, just evaporating at a super rate, like it's going down the tubes. Like, the racism and the anti-Semitism and who else knows what else of these fans that are just shouting something out. And I think it's the same kind of thing, because it's been happening for so long, and because they can yell these things out and no one says anything, they think, I'm just going to keep doing it. Again, not an excuse at all, because if those things are coming out of you, then those things are in you, which means there's a problem to begin with. And the other problem on top of that is you think it's all right to vocalize them. I mean, it'd be bad if you're not vocalizing them because you shouldn't think that way. But if you do think that way and you are putting it out there, then it's a whole barrel of terribleness. But that's why I do think we need to start clamping down on it is a bit much, because you don't want to get into the realm of censorship and free speech. And as again, I've talked about this loads, intent and context is everything. And I do think sometimes in 2018 or the modern day, that gets moved to the wayside. We don't actually think, oh, what did that person mean? Or what's the context around this? Again, we react. And that sucks. But look, end of the day, it's coming up to the end of the year. We may do a couple more next week if we can, but who knows? Christmas week is so crazy. Sometimes you don't get to a round of it, as I'm sure you guys know. I'm sure you've got loads of plans. So that I wanted to end up with a message of good cheer. And that is to say, one, don't be a dick if you can help it. If you are one of those dicks, try not to do it. I already know what the comment box is going to be like now. I look forward to it. But on top of that, this is the most important part, because we can try and change those people, but this video isn't going to make a dent in that. Let's not pretend otherwise. But, if you are getting any of that kind of abuse, if you are in a space where, it comes across, just remember that just because somebody says something negative to you, A, it doesn't mean they're right, and B, they don't hold any power over you. Like, it's not easy just to go like that, but you can. And again, their opinion carries no more weight. It doesn't mean they're right. Maybe you can use it as a benefit. If somebody says something, like I said, that does hit home, maybe the reason it hit home is because there's a tiny bit of truth in it. So maybe extrapolate the truth part, ignore all the crap, and work on yourself, and then you'll become a better person, and then you still win. And that's what's key here. Don't let the bastards bring you down. It's what my mum always used to say when I was old enough to hear that word. Anytime there was any kind of problem, she always used to say to me, Simon, don't let the bastards drag you down. It's just a wonderful, nice little phrase that I'm sure 1,000 people have heard, but it always spoke to me because you're like, yeah, you know what? And it does tie into self-worth and self-esteem, and we always talk about trying to build those things back up. And it does take time, but sometimes it's nice just to get it, nice and simple. Don't let the bastards get you down. Have a good Christmas, Kwanzaa. If you enjoyed Hanukkah, that's done. Hope you enjoyed that. Enjoy your holiday season. See, there's nothing wrong with a bit of political correctness every now and then. We can go too far with that as well, but if it doesn't insult anybody, I'm a happy man. Either way, thank you very much for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment where obviously you're going to call me a dick. I get it. It'll make me laugh. And I'll see you soon.